Hello, and welcome back to the Corhazi Outlook, a Grand Archive TCG podcast centered around tournament results and competitive metagame analysis.
We are here to provide a glimpse into what's being played at larger tournaments and help you prepare for your next big event. This is episode 18. I am Ken, also known as Chromatic. With me, as always, is Jim the Eternal, also known as Aubrey.
What's up?
And today, it's time to talk about Ascent Boston, the first Ascent of the DTR season.
Yeah.
So we had a little bit of lead up going into this, and now we can finally see what's hitting the big leagues.
Yeah. It was pretty cool talking about the Quicksilver Cup last time.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see kind of going into, the first Ascent of the season, kind of how that shakes up and what people are doing and what secret spice people are bringing in.
It's been a hot topic to really see what's been kind of evolving as the season goes on, and I think we've got a few things to talk about here.
Oh, yeah, we sure do.
Very exciting. But before we get into that, Jim, it's been so long since we last talked, right?
So long.
I know. What have you been up to?
Not a whole lot, as it turns out. I've had a hard time making it to locals, just being busy and stuff.
I understand.
And I still have, my pet decks.
Yes.
I don't know if I'm actually going to bring them out to see the light of day, but I am excited to throw some more oblations at people.
Yeah.
I think that'll be very cool.
I mean, it seems to be having a good track record so far.
Yeah, it did all right?
Yeah,
definitely some cool decks, even from this event, to crib notes.
Yeah. I will say, in our local area, the oblation has been sort of ravaging the store champs one by one. So really kind of cool to see that pop off. Yeah. Also a little bit terrifying because I really don't want to face it in person, but that's just how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, I need to get some practicing in. Like, our regionals is coming up in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Well,
so that's going to be a big deal.
Indeed. I have actually been helping folks practice for NorCal regionals, which is at the time of this recording coming up in less than 2 weeks.
Yep.
Not playing this time, actually judging it, which is going to be an interesting twist on things.
Yeah, I'm going the other direction. Instead of casting, I'm going to be playing.
I know, so we're wearing different hats this time around. I'm excited and terrified to potentially be the stream judge.
Oh yeah,
and have to see a number of calls made, and the idea of missing a single one fills me with absolute dread.
Pressure's on, dude.
So no pressure there. No pressure there. So
all of the pressure.
So much pressure. It's the first time I cannot screw it up.
Nah, you'll be fine.
Yeah. No, I'm very excited for the opportunity. Good. So yeah. Other than that, I've just been having a few fun decks that I've been just picking up and trying to learn just to help other folks sort of get used to them. I've been trying Seiryu. I've been trying Fire Diao Chen. I've been trying. What else have I been trying?
I've been playing a little bit with the Luxem deck, and that's been pretty.
Oh
fun.
Yeah, the Luxem deck.
Back to my roots.
I remember that.
One of the first decks that I ever tried to build, like in terms of a competitive Grand Archive deck, was Luxem.
Oh yeah.
I decided that Fire Luxem wasn't for me. I wanted to build Wind Luxem. Of course, this was back before Shadow Strike even existed.
Back in the day, before the Wind Luxem deck that we know.
It was not good. It was not good. But it's good to get back to my Luxem roots and see what Fire Luxem's been up to.
Yeah. The Ryle package has really given it a lot of new life. I got to try a little bit of Jin recently with the Ryle package, and that's a lot of fun. Although I've realized that my Jin senses have dulled. I forgot how to be an angry man. As it turns out, I've gone through too much therapy, so we'll have to sort of go back to our roots on that one. But we'll have a lot to talk about with this as time goes on, I'm sure. Let's dive into it, shall we?
Yeah. And I think actually, before we jump into kind of the data for Ascent Boston, we should really talk about the elephant in the room.
Oh yeah, so if you watched Boston and you stayed all the way through, you know that there's a little bit of a change that's coming out of this tournament, and I think if you know it beforehand, you might sort of paint your expectations as we talk about the rest of the tournament.
Absolutely.
So we had a BNR update.
Yes, and this is the BNR update I think that most people were expecting.
Yeah.
I think I was a little bit on the more optimistic side. I know other people were a little bit more pessimistic about what the results were going to be. But everybody kind of expected some sort of action, and we did indeed see some sort of action.
Yeah, I am usually on the side of let people cook, but every so often we've seen a deck come along where it's like, who let them cook? You should not let them cook anymore. We saw this in Toronto with the 3 visits, Razorgale, Vanitas. And I wouldn't say that it's quite on that level, but it's big enough.
Okay, so here we go. Of course, we're talking about the Ryle package.
Yes,
we're talking about
Ryle the
Spectres.
Abyss.
We're talking about the incredible net positive floating memory engine that Rile the Abyss presents.
Fire decks are now sweeping the scene by storm, and it is all on the back of this card.
Yeah, so in terms of kind of how this meshes into what Boston looked like, over 50% of the field entirely had the Spectre engine in their deck in some form or another.
Yeah, which is so fire decks everywhere.
The overall conversion rate for Boston was about 20%. I think there was like 270-ish people, and about 60-ish made it into day 2. 25% of the Rile decks converted, so slightly higher.
Yeah,
not an absurd amount compared to how many were showing up.
That's pretty good, though.
Slightly higher. This meant, though, that 35 of the 58 decks on day 2 were running Spectres.
Now, that is a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Compare and contrast, the reason that Baby Gray was banned was because it was in too many non-slime decks. Too many decks were taking advantage of this slime package to gain value that they shouldn't otherwise be gaining.
Right.
Utrecht, the most recent Ascent in which Baby Gray was legal, had 2 of those decks in day 2. Boston had 35.
That's a ton.
It's a lot.
That's a ton.
The top 8 for Boston had the maximum number of Rile the Abyss in it.
Yes.
4 per player.
Yes. 32 copies of Rile the Abyss in the top 8.
So it is, in fact, ubiquitous. There was a lot of Rile the Abyss.
It's quite good. Now, granted, the archetypes that Rile the Abyss is powering are a bit different from one another.
There's a lot of dynamism? Variety. Diversity, I think, actually, is maybe what I'm looking for. There's a lot of variety in these fire decks.
Yeah.
A lot of them are powering to 3, but they're powering to 3 in different ways. There's Jin, there's Ensoul, there's Luxem. There's a lot of aggro decks that are even taking advantage of the same thing, right? We saw Suzaku, we saw some Fire Lorraine running the Spectre package. So it's not by any means a single archetype taking advantage of it.
Right.
But I think that's part of the problem.
Yeah, when the engine itself is so like prevalent that it's just sort of powering everything, then you kind of have to wonder, is this okay? Right?
Exactly. And Weebs is wondering the same thing. So Rile the Abyss moved immediately to Category 2.
Yes. Giving us some time to cook.
Yep. I was kind of expecting Cat 1. I think other people were expecting
I think
a ban,
Cat 1 was like a guarantee, I feel, right? But Cat 2 is a little bit above and beyond our expectations, which I think usually when they do these updates, they tend to go a little bit beyond our expectations.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And the reasoning they gave is kind of the same reasoning as they gave for Baby Gray. There's just too many people outside of the deck it was intended for using this to gain value.
Yes.
Which makes me wonder, because I don't think I've seen a dedicated Spectre deck.
No, we've seen a couple, I think, aggro decks that leaned a little bit more into the Spectre package, but nothing like no mono Spectres. Like I know there's like a unique Spectre ally, which we've never seen.
So that makes me really curious what they were intending with this.
Yes.
Because I don't think we've seen it. I think we just flat have not seen it.
Yeah, no, I think everyone sort of saw this card and was like, hey, this is going to juice up our engines like really good.
Yeah.
And so they just were like, we'll put it in everything.
But yeah, the stated intent is there were too many decks outside of the intended deck gaining the value that it needs. So the next thing they're going to do is a little bit of a wait and see approach, but sending everybody the message, right? So they're trying to see if the meta can correct for it now that people know what's up. But also, it's Category 2. If nothing else happens, it's definitely getting EX.
Yes, and I believe the next BNR update is scheduled for mid-September, around the time of Ascent Taipei, presumably after Ascent Taipei.
That would be my expectation.
That'd be a really rude awakening if they put it right before. So you have probably a couple weeks to sort of play around with it and see just where it's at, and then, maybe we'll reevaluate and see what happens there. We also had a new Proxy's Vault card introduced as part of the update. This is a early preview card from Phantom Monarchs. This is the Purifying Thurible. It's a 0-cost Wind Regalia item, Cleric artifact. You may reserve X and banish it to have target opponent banish X cards from their graveyard. And if X is 3 or greater, you get to draw a card into your memory. So this is some more fast speed graveyard hate for Wind.
Yeah, so Wind already has an identity around the same kind of stuff.
Yep.
Cleansing Reunion is a great example.
Is a big one.
And now they get a better than backup charger that does the same thing.
Yeah. What if your backup charger also had some incidental utility?
Pretty good.
Not bad. I'm a little terrified, honestly.
So maybe I'm not sure if this will bring many more wind decks to the meta.
Yeah.
Like that's the real question, right?
Yes.
Is how well is this going to do in terms of stopping the Spectre Menace, not a Phantom Menace, Spectre Menace.
Yes.
And how
I like the first one.
and how well is it going to do in terms of bringing wind back into the meta in a way that it's not currently present?
Yeah.
Right?
Now, wind isn't totally dead on arrival, mind
Unlike
you.
water.
There are a water is a little bit more dead on arrival. Let's be honest here. As the token Diana player currently, don't tell that to the other Diana player in our environment. But
No.
The water ranger tends to get a lot of collateral damage as a result of a lot of the things that people are siding in to deal with Ryle, and so seeing another one of these is just like, well, I might. Be
I mean,
in
yeah,
danger.
when Fire's floating memory engine is just as good as Water's, that's
Yeah.
When you put it, honestly, now that I have said that out loud, I suddenly understand why Ryle needs to be banned.
So we'll get back to you in a couple weeks and let you know how that turned out.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see how Windex might take advantage of this. If it shows up in big droves, if the Ryle players sort of go into seclusion, thinking that Category 2 is just a sign of things to come. But we'll see.
I mean, I fully expect people to take advantage of Ryle while it's still around. But
think
I
so.
don't think it's long for this meta.
Yeah, I think Ryle will be used to great effect for at least 2 more weeks. And then after that, poof, who knows? But yes, with that said, will sort of set the expectation for kind of what we saw here.
Yeah. So let's talk about Boston.
Boston! All right, so 269 entrants in this tournament.
Yeah, a large chunk of people showed up. This
Yeah,
is good.
yeah.
This is not as big as some of the bigger events that we've seen
Yeah.
in kind of the SEA region.
True.
But this is decently sized.
This is still
for
very
North
substantial.
America.
Yeah, I think this is a good sized tournament, healthy sized tournament.
And we are seeing kind of the same kind of meta that we were expecting based on what we saw at Quicksilver Town.
Yeah.
Ton of fire,
So much fire.
a decent amount of wind, and not really a whole lot of water.
This is definitely kind of reminds me of the Alchemical Revolution meta, but far more pronounced in terms of the fire, like sort of the outlying fire population.
It is really kind of exaggerated.
Yeah.
And, it makes sense that Weebs is trying to do something to control for this.
I think so. I think it makes sense,
So, out of these 269 players, 175 were fire, 65% of the field.
Oh, boy. It's so
63 were wind, another 23% of the field, and only 31 players in water.
That's so sad. Well, I say that, but we just had a huge water meta, so I think that might be relieving for some people.
Yeah, a little bit of a rebound is kind of...
Yeah. Honestly, I will say that when you're in a meta like this, that's the perfect time for water to come back because nobody expects it.
I don't think it's going to work, but
No.
good luck. Good luck.
I don't think so either.
I think there's a reason things are as they are.
Listen,
so-
I like to forever be an optimist. but,
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be nice?
It would be nice. Anyway, so of those decks, we had 52 decks on Fire Aggro.
And keep in mind, this is sort of a collective fire aggro,
Yes,
right?
there's so many different varieties of aggro now.
There's Fire Lorraine, there's Fire Xander, there's Fire Diao-Chan, there was a bunch of Fire Polcock this event.
Yeah, we had some Polcock show
We
up.
have, of course, Guoja on the Suzaku deck.
Yeah.
So all of these combined together to make Fire aggro.
Very, very good. Very, very diverse category. I believe Suited is different from this. We do not
Yeah,
classify
Suited most of the time does not overlap with Fire aggro. Suited a lot of the time just has kind of its own sort of parasitic Suited mechanics.
Yep.
But you also see Suited decks that run Arthur, Red Hair, Blazing Throw.
True.
And these are the same kinds of cards that get a deck lumped into this aggro.
Yeah. So there's definitely a lot of a mix right there. So beyond that, we had 47 decks on Crux. Quite a bit of variety in Crux now. Sort of beyond the classic Merlin, we also have a lot of Ensoul running around. And we have a Water Merlin lurking in there.
One water. I don't know how many watermelons we had, but so again to kind of split the difference here, this is 27 in Soul decks, primarily Lorraine, and then another 20 decks, either Merlin or Lorraine at the top end, without Ensoul, but just the general sort of more Crux package.
Yeah. Coming in after Crux, we had 31 decks on Suzaku. Now, this is a extension of the Fire Aggro package we talked about here, but the KFC deck, as they're calling it, is quite powerful. Pepper
and quite
Chef,
popular.
Yeah, Pepper Chef, as it turns out, is a great addition to the Fire Aggro package.
Mm-hmm.
I really have to play this deck myself, honestly. It seems like a lot of fun.
It seems pretty good.
It's a little scary because you're sort of, you're going down at the same time as your opponent, but your idea is to let them go down faster.
Yeah. So this is by far the most prevalent of the many Fire Aggro decks. I think most of the other Fire Aggro decks had a lot lower in terms of how many people were on any specific deck.
Yeah, I think after this,
I don't know, 8 people, 4 people on Fire Aggro Xander. We had like 8 people on Fire Aggro Lorraine.
Yeah.
So this is 31 people on Fire Aggro Suzaku, by far the most popular Fire Aggro deck.
Yeah, absolutely. After that, with 25 decks, we have Shadow Strike. Tristan is still very popular. I'd say this is probably the most prevalent. Well, this is the most prevalent win deck in this tournament, and it did a lot of good work here.
Yeah,
quite a few people convert.
Yeah, Shadow Strike did okay. 50% on the day.
Yeah.
So actually, I probably want to call this out. In terms of win rates.
Yes.
This actually, in many ways, things in this Ascent were kind of skewed in one way or another.
Yes.
Right? Like, ton of fire decks. We also saw, I guess we'll get to it eventually, but I do want to mention the Horse and Taxes deck.
Horse and Taxes. Or as they also like to call it, Pony Toss.
Pony Toss, yeah. I was hearing that
derby.
on the cast. That's pretty good. So this deck kind of swept the Ascent. It did really well.
This was a crazy
It is the only deck with a higher than 60% win rate.
Yeah.
So usually we tend to see like a decent chunk of decks kind of splitting the upper echelons, like 62%, 65% win rate. This is the only deck above a 60% win rate with a 75% win rate. This deck is really good.
Very, very good.
But the highest win rate below that you see across the entire event is actually Fire Xander Aggro, which did almost 60%, 58%.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Everything else is kind of around this like 52%, 53%, 54%. The Shadow Strike deck still kind of in the positive, right? 50, 51%.
Still doing good here. So after that, we had 24 decks on Umbra Guardians. So CL has been very popular as of late, coming in a few different flavors. The Oblation one, I think, is definitely the more obviously known one.
Yeah.
But we saw a little bit of Water CL out there doing some cool things involving the Beguiling Coup.
A little bit of Water CL. We're also seeing a lot of Fire CL decks that aren't relying on Oblation.
Yeah.
Kind of trying to do the Beguiling Coup thing.
Yes. Beguiling Coup is quite fun.
And just generally build up a large stable of value cards before coming in for big hits.
Yeah, absolutely. After that, at 17 decks, we have Luxem Assassin. And I'm noticing that this is actually a deck with a very, very high win rate, a 57% win rate.
Yeah, Luxem Assassin also did really well. This is one of the standout performers.
Yeah, on the back of the Ryle engine, Fire Luxem has been just doing really, really well. There was a teensy bit of Wind Luxem, but Fire Luxem is definitely the name of the game.
Yeah.
Also with the same number, 17 decks, with a champion that you probably haven't seen or heard of in quite some time. It's Jin.
So this is really interesting because I heard a lot of people talking about Fire Jin coming into this event.
Yeah.
And I kind of expected to see a few more of some of the top names on this deck.
Yeah.
Right? We saw a couple of people. But it overall kind of performed more evenly than I expected. It's also coming in at like this 50% win rate.
Yeah,
so it did okay.
We definitely had some above average performances from Jin. We sadly didn't have any in the top 8 spoilers, but there were quite a few people who I think were running this deck to good effect. Yeah, I think it definitely took some people by surprise.
Conversely, quite a few people who bombed out.
Yes. They couldn't all be winners.
Yeah.
It turns out the Jin lethal lines are very, very tricky if you haven't been familiar with them. So I think if that is a thing you want to do, I suggest you look up some resources and practice.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the last one we'll talk about then is 15 decks on Wind Allies. Wind Allies, still a classic. You cannot keep the Wind Allies players down. They will find a way. So I think we only had one convert to day 2.
It didn't do super well. So there are a number of other decks, even decks with lower representation, that did convert to day 2. So we might give them a shout out once we get to the day 2 coverage. But there is a long tail of low representation.
Just a lot of fringe archetypes not quite making the cut, and some fringe archetypes who actually did make it up there, who really shouldn't be fringe for all.
But specifically in terms of decks that didn't quite make it, we saw some Genbu. We saw some people running this Wake Up combo with Hatter.
Laranger, as some people are calling it.
There's some Umbra Ranger, some Astra Ranger. Not a lot of Ranger in
not
the top
that. Not too much Ranger.
Some Astra Cleric decks still making it here.
She's still around. Yeah.
People are still running Rye.
People still doing Rye things. Tony's still doing a thing.
And there's a whole bunch here that I'm just classifying as etc.
Yeah.
There are people who are diehard aficionados of some deck or another, and they're going to bring it to every Ascent they can, and maybe they do well, maybe they don't, but I don't know that it's worth paying attention to.
We have some miscellaneous domain players.
Yep.
Which
they're still out there.
They are out there. Listen, if you ran that,
more power to you.
I applaud your bravery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So there's quite a lot, but in terms of day 2, we had a conversion of, I think we had 50,
about 20%?
Yeah, 20%. I think we had about
58 decks.
58 decks in day 2.
Mm-hmm.
So not bad.
Not bad.
Not bad at all.
It's about the same rates as we saw for day 1, honestly.
Yeah.
We have 43 decks on fire, which is 74% of the field.
A little bit higher.
A little bit higher.
A little bit higher.
We have 9 decks on wind, 16% of the field, kind of the same amount lower. And actually 6 water decks made it to day 2.
Yeah.
So, which is approximately the same rate, 10% of the field.
So, even though water is kind of in a weird spot right now, that doesn't mean you can't do well with it.
Yeah,
but it's definitely going to be a bit harder.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, let's talk about kind of the overall picture of day 2 here.
Yes.
There's actually a decent amount of variety in day 2, which I think is really cool.
I love this.
And I think the best way to discuss that is in the Archetype Breakdown.
Archetype Breakdown. Starting now.
So we had 10 aggro decks in the field.
That's a much higher amount of aggro decks than I'm used to.
It is. So most of them, obviously, Guoja. We have a lot of Suzaku here.
Yep.
But there was a Fire Diana.
Oh, yeah.
There were 3 Fire Lorraines, and there was a Fire Xander.
Okay.
And this is, our day 2 selection of aggro. I am thinking carefully about how to classify Horse and Taxes here, because it is more of an aggressive deck than not.
It is surprisingly aggressive, I think.
I'm lumping it into kind of the same category that I lump the ally decks into, which is tempo-ish.
I think it makes sense because you are relying on your horse allies. We'll talk about this.
Yeah, it is very board focused, and we're gonna have a full discussion.
We're gonna get there.
Don't just hold your horses.
Wait. I'm rubbing off on you. I see.
You are the cause of all of my problems.
I accept my responsibility.
But 10 aggro decks, 14 tempo decks, including this classification for Horse and Taxes. So this tempo includes ally decks, wind allies, water allies. It also includes suited decks, which tend to be more board-oriented and trying to control the field.
I think so. I want to say that, yeah.
So we had 3 coming in as Xander, 3 coming in as Lorraine, 6 Vanitas decks. We'll talk about it. There was a Diana ally deck, and a hybrid suited deck. So one of the suited decks running Lorraine and Xander and Tenoris.
Yes.
All level 1s.
There are a lot of class bonus suited effects, and someone just said, I want all of them.
Yeah, might as well. I have 20 decks here classified as mid-range, and a lot of mid-range tends to be these level 3 decks.
Yeah.
So you find decks that kind of start a little bit later, but really have the same ethos as aggro. Just put threats on the board or onto the stack until their opponent keels over.
Yep.
So obviously, Shadow Strike.
Yep.
Kind of the cornerstone mid-range deck here. 6 Shadow Strikes. We have our Ensol decks, which is very sort of mid-rangey. We have some Seryu decks.
We do have Seryu decks.
Which is also this sort of like almost combo-y, mid-rangey sort of.
Yeah. You wait a couple turns to get online to level 3, and then you just get to blasting, which is great.
CL, I think, tends to be in this sort of same boat of like turbo to 3, and then once you're at 3, just throw things onto the board until your opponent
there's
dies.
some like very small variation of that, but I think generally you're going to see those decks fall into that category.
And of course, Merlin.
We love to see Merlin here. I should not say that, I'm going to upset some people.
5 Merlin decks. Yeah, we'll talk about Merlin for next season. That's going to be interesting.
Stay tuned to the end.
Right? In terms of control decks, we're still putting Fire Luxem in this category,
yes,
I think.
I think so.
And there's not any water, which typically takes this slot.
I think water could definitely run the gamut of control, but we didn't really see it this time.
No,
a lot of the water decks are more
here.
aggressive.
And then we did see some Fractal decks.
Yeah.
So that's under our combo category.
Yeah.
And I think Jin also fits sort of more of a combo deck than a mid-range deck.
Jin kind of feels to me like the weird love child of Tristan and Rai. It's instead of prep counters, you're sort of manipulating your damage counters in such a way, and you just want a big boom.
Yeah, big boom. It's interesting because you're not actually threatening your opponent until you OTK them, essentially.
Yeah.
You're just trying to ignore what they're doing until you have the resources to kill them.
Yep.
So we have 9 combo decks, including our 2 Fractals decks and our 7 Exia decks in day 2.
Yep.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Love to see it.
Exia actually the most represented deck in day 2.
No way.
Yeah. 7 Exia decks.
I love that.
Coming just above our 6 Shadow Strikes.
Yeah.
And our 6 Horse and Taxes decks.
I never thought I'd see the day where there would be a champion more popular than Tristan, but here we are.
Yeah. And then behind them, we start getting sort of the more common decks in the field, still represented well. Suzaku, we had 5 Suzaku decks.
Yep.
5 of these Luxem Xander decks.
Yep.
5 Merlin decks with the Crux package.
Yes.
And then past that, we have 3 suited decks, 3 Water Allies decks, 3 Oblation decks, which I am noting here as sort of separately from other Umbra Guardian stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's a similar shell, but a different approach at the top end, right? You have like the big threat versus a couple of little things that don't.
Right.
You know, it's the difference between Storm Slime and Ethereal Slime.
Right.
But yeah, 3 Oblation decks, 3 Ensoul decks, 3 Lorraine aggro decks.
Yes.
And they did decently well here. I do want to call out, like, most of these decks hovered around 50%. Some of them did, like, a little bit worse. Suzaku actually, overall, 46% win rate. So even though we saw a decent chunk of them in day 2, they actually didn't convert as well as sort of the rest of the field.
Interesting. I wonder if folks sort of adopted it as the new hotness once they saw the results of the previous tournaments.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we had 2 Fractal decks, 2 Seiryu decks. Seiryu also kind of not performing super well here, about a 44% win rate.
Yeah, we had a couple sneak in.
We had 2 Aetherwing decks in day 2. So this is notably the sort of low-level Diana strategies, Diana 1 or Diana 2, trying to load up that big Aetherwing with as many Aether charges as they can and slam into your opponent. The water variant of this deck tends not to go quite as big in terms of damage, but is a little bit more tempo-y, a little bit more dealing with the board in terms of, like, rolling it a little bit slower.
A little bit, kind of. I don't know. It can still gotta get you. It's the kind of deck that if it draws right and you breathe wrong, it'll just kill you.
Yeah. And I think that's what happened here. So I do want to call this out because we didn't really mention it during the day 1 coverage.
Yeah.
7 Aetherwing decks.
Yeah.
In the entire event.
Yeah.
2 of them made day 2. Below 40% win rate.
It's unfortunate.
This deck suffered. And 2 of them still made day 2. So you know, make of that what you will.
To the 2 Aetherwing players who made it to day 2, y'all are heroes.
To the 2 Aetherwing players that made it to day 2, I wish I could be so lucky.
Me too. Perhaps one day.
We had 1 Umbra Guardian deck not running Oblate, and the non-Oblation version of Umbra Guardian didn't do super. Actually, all Umbra Guardian didn't do super well. It's like 46%, 47%.
That's unfortunate, really.
But you know, there was enough of them present to make a decent chunk of day 2. We had our one Wind Allies in day 2, and Wind Allies also not doing super hot.
Sadly. Some neat stuff out there, but not quite.
I feel like this is a continuation of what we've been seeing in the previous meta as well. Like, Wind Allies just, you know, the most popular underperforming deck. And it is not the most popular deck anymore, but it is definitely still underperforming.
I mean, I think as long as you have level 3 decks that can just sort of do this big board control thing, I think allies are usually going to be pretty smoked.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what we're seeing to a lesser extent here.
And the exact opposite, 1 Fire Xander aggro deck.
Yeah.
Out of 4 Fire Xander decks in the field. Great conversion rate, 25%.
Yeah.
Fire Xander actually doing about 58% win rate.
The dedicated few Fire Xander players.
You'd think we'd get more Fire Xander players. But yeah, 1 Fire Xander in day 2.
Yeah. I think it's a deck that requires a lot of precision. So
it does.
It is surprisingly not for the faint of heart.
Yeah, it's absolutely not for the faint of heart.
Yeah.
So yeah, there you go. That's the stats on the overall field for day 2.
And on the topic of decks that are not for the faint of heart, we're just going to jump right into it with decks that I thought were neat.
Yeah, let's take a look.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about both Diana decks.
Sure.
I'm going to do that. Okay.
Whatever you want to do, man.
So in 44th place, we have DJ Nova, one of 2 Aetherwing players on Fire Aetherwing Diana. And Jim, this looks very similar to a deck that I believe you were cooking.
I am still cooking. All right? So this is, I have already talked about it enough on the podcast. I'm going to say it again, though. This is a deck that Goldfish is like a dream. And the moment you try to interact with another living, breathing opponent, it falls apart like a house of cards.
It is so dangerous. But
so fragile.
This deck tried its best, and it looks like it just got far enough. Some differences here, though, I think from your list is we see the Looking Glass here and a few Cheshire Cats. I would have potentially expected a Mad Hatter in here, but that's kind of not what they were going for, I think.
Yeah, I think that's ended up the direction I'm going with it is no Cheshire Cats, but Mad Hatter because Ranger Strides are just absurd.
Yeah. Ranger Strides are definitely showing up here. We also have a few other things like the Inert Sword to buff your Cheshire Cat, the Consumption Ring to sort of stop those combo players, which is a cool thing. The Bauble of Scarcity to wreck your opponent's influence, potentially.
I do kind of love this, because you go hand down a surprisingly large number of times with this kind of deck.
Yeah.
Like, this is a very all-in deck. You need to load up your Aetherwing with sufficient damage on it to actually be able to hit, which means you are almost always going fully hand down in your Recollection or even on your turn.
Yep. And you need to then pray that your opponent is not going to interact with you.
Yes.
Because Aetherwings are very, very fragile if you're not in water.
But hey, that's what the Bauble is for. If they have one less card, they can't fracturize you,
You're right. It's true.
Fingers crossed.
Come on. The Cheshire Cat can also be a Bauble in the case of an emergency. So that's kind of cool. And then we have 16 Distant Enablers, which is a pretty good amount of Distant Enablers. The most interesting thing here is that we see 4 copies of Ignis Deus, which is kind of like a 17th through 20th copy of a Distant Enabler.
Yeah. So the whole point of the Distant Enablers in this deck is that you want to bring out your Aetherwing with Diana, so that you can attack on the first turn that you have an attack, right? So the point of this is you at least the way my deck plays. I don't know if this is exactly the way this deck plays, but turn 1 is essentially pass. But if you go distant and then materialize Diana on turn 2, you can bring in your Aetherwing, you can spend your cards in Recollection to charge up your Aetherwing, and then spend the rest of your turn fully charging your Aetherwing and slam in for 8, 10, 12 damage on turn 2.
Now I do dare say, I think if you manage to do a reposition into an Ignis Deus, you might be able to get some really saucy plays with bringing out a Ranger Strides on the next turn and then really hitting them super hard. I think there's a lot of potential there. So there might be a lot of lines to this which are a bit more nuanced, which might need input from the chef themselves to really do this.
Yep. I would love to hear what they ended up doing with this deck.
We might have to take some notes and try this out and sort of get back to you on that one. But this seems pretty cool. Oh, they do have 3 Mad Hatters on the side though. That's fine. So they can do it. They can do the thing if they want to. So congrats to DJ Nova on making it to day 2. That's very cool. 39th place, we have Destiny Clownfish on Water Aetherwing Diana.
This is both of our Aetherwings.
Both of our Aetherwings right here.
Both.
This is not a level 3 deck. This does not go to Astra, sadly, but it does, in fact, leverage the Looking Glass and the Ranger Strides, similarly to the Fire deck, and it goes to level 2 just for a little bit of extra burst. And the best part about this deck, well, one of the best things about this deck, we have 3 Mad Hatters. So it's clearly looking to do that Ranger Strides things if it can. But it's also running 4 copies of Languid Toad Troll and 4 copies of Carpsong Coda for those big blams of 6 damage.
That's hilarious.
I love it. It's really, really funny.
So you mentioned this one doesn't go to Astra. We did see some Astra Rangers on day 1.
We did.
No Astra Rangers on day 2.
No.
And I wonder if this is playing into Weebs' opinion on how bad Ryle is. Ryle is doing so well, it's overshadowing literally every other mechanic in the set.
It may be. Even the Omen stuff doesn't quite have a lot on Ryle the Abyss.
Yeah, it definitely didn't make it. Yeah. You didn't see a lot of that in top 8 for sure.
I mean, what this really means is that the Aetherwings, they can't hurt you. Don't worry about them. Don't worry about them.
Please don't worry about the Aetherwings.
I certainly won't be playing it at your next big
Let me worry about the Aetherwings.
You let me worry about the Aetherwings. You let me worry about blank. Anyway. Anyway, congrats, Destiny Clownfish.
Congrats, Destiny Clownfish.
38th place, we have Gunshi on Wind Seiryu, the highest placing Wind Seiryu on day 2. And this is kind of your stock Wind Seiryu at first glance, but it's running a few interesting things here. The Cleansing Reunions are main board because Ryle is everywhere, and that's a little terrifying.
That's correct.
A lot of these decks tend to just go with the 4 Beseeching Fate Stones and 4 Dungeon Guys, but we also see an addition of 3 extra Beseech the Winds here to get things out fast. You have a Censor in the main board, and I think getting that thing out as fast as possible is very important with all of the Ryle stuff running around.
Absolutely. I would pay 3 for a Censor.
Yeah, but it's also using Unyielding Wraith Guards as a way to sort of stifle the aggro decks that I might run into, which I think is really
good old double taunt.
Yeah, would you like 1 Taunter? How about 2? Pretty nice. Limitless Slime as a floating memory, also as a potential beater when he goes to level 3. I think that's actually great.
Neat.
Yeah, I've always been looking for more incidental 3/4s in Wind Seiryu, and I do think Limitless Slime is a pretty good pick. I know that some other folks I know settled on Royal Bear for this job, which is also pretty good, but I think Limitless Slime might deserve a little bit of extra attention. We have 2 Bestial Frenzies in the main, which is a little bit surprising, but I mean, when you have that big dragon out, you can just slap really hard.
Yeah, so it sounds like this is less of the combo-y Seiryu and more of a, like, tempo-y Seiryu.
Yeah,
right? Like, trying to build out that board, trying to go wide with the allies instead of just focusing on the dragon.
Yeah, I mean, this has kind of been an important like backup strategy sometimes with the assassins out there potentially being able to ensnaring fumes on your dragon. You just sort of need to have an allies backup plan.
Sure.
This definitely has some good stuff in here. It's also running a Shard of Empowerment so that when you finally do get that dragon out, you can actually just sort of bring this out and do like sort of a quick finisher with your Arcane Blast.
Neat.
Which I think is good because sometimes the end strategy, I think, with all the insult decks running around is a little bit slow nowadays, which is really weird because I'm used to calling it Turbo Dragon for a reason.
Right.
It goes very fast to level 3 and then yeets out the blast. But now with a lot of the fast Ryle decks coming out there, it has a bit of competition. So
you really want to be able to make that blast and then use that blast on the next turn.
So you really just need to have that little extra edge. But hey, it worked out pretty well, and I'm inclined to give this a try next time. So congrats, Gunshi. In 29th place, we have Duck Hats, the NorCal special, running one of the SoCal specials of this event. There were a lot of people playing this deck, but I'm just going to give it the credit to Duck Hats because he's one of our locals. But really credit to all of SoCal playing this deck. It's Spectre Jin.
Yep.
And Jin is back, believe it or not. He's doing really good things. And this is taking full advantage of the Ryle package to just turbo to level 3 and just build up and build up and build up towards a big one-hit KO.
Yeah, and this is everything Jin has ever wanted, right? Jin wants to get to level 3 as fast as possible and wants to get there with as much influence as possible.
Yes, exactly.
So the days of getting to level 3 on turn 5 with 2 cards left in hand are over. Now instead, hey.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Now instead, we get to level 3 on turn 3 with 7 cards left in hand.
So the Berserker plate is just bonus. It's not a crutch that you have to worry about getting fracturized. No one's playing that anymore.
Yeah, fracturize isn't real.
Exactly. And it has a few things to sort of stabilize once it gets to level 3. We've got some Flame Sweeps just to take out the big boards, which is pretty nice, and combined with an Enrage, that also might be a way to knock out everything on the board at once, which is great. We have Regal Inquisitions, which is a great back-breaking card that you can use when you're level 3. Just rip cards out of your hand. Interestingly enough, with all the Ryle decks running around, this is actually potentially a mill finisher, because if you just have a lot of these, you can just chain them and just be like, just pitch your whole hand and draw. What do you mean your deck's empty? I don't know. I don't know how that happened. But one of the really exciting cards we see here, one of the tech pieces, is 3 copies of Sovereign Sanctuary. This is a Fantasia.
Oh, this is so good.
This is really cool. This is a Fantasia that replaces itself. When you play it out, basically for the turn, if a unit you control be dealt damage, you prevent 2 of that damage, and then at the beginning of your next recollection step, you sack it and draw a card into memory. So this is just a nice way to stall as you build up your hand and sort of work your way towards that big one-turn kill, which is really
what if
cool.
Resolute Stand, instead of minusing you, plussed you?
Yeah, it's great. It's fantastic. So this is a really cool list. So I want to give a big shout out to Duck Hats and everyone from Southern California who ran this deck. It was super, super cool to see this deck in action. Sano played it on stream.
Several times.
Yes, and he had it was really fun watching him play that deck. It was really, really cool. So congrats to all of them. In 24th place, we have ZTR God main deck Mitch on Water Fractal Diao-Chan.
Yeah, still some fractals around.
I want to also point out this list because this man had the most juiced up deck list of all time because he was not only running the Myth Spirit of Water that he won from Santa Clara, but he was running the Sacramental Rite that main deck Taylor won in the World Championships.
What a guy!
So they literally just gave him the Spirit Bomb. They were just like, take this, go with it, and yeah, he piloted it to day 2. So I mean. This is kind of your classic fractal list. It's got a couple new additions, and by a couple, I mean it has 3 Thronekeeper Bullfrogs, which is just a nice way to keep yourself stable while you build up your fractals and then eventually hit him with the big blast.
That's interesting. It lost the completely unfair Lost in Thought.
Yes.
And replaced it with a ridiculously solid defensive option, which is exactly what this deck needed.
Yeah.
Like something to buy a little bit more time and build up your board.
Because sometimes you just need to play this Zhang Jiao as like a recover and not a draw, you know? Sometimes those fast gears are very important to keep yourself alive. So like...
Yeah, I really like the Bullfrog here.
I love Bullfrog here. So congrats to Bitch. That's really cool to see. It's both awesome and terrifying to see that this deck still lives after being banned into the ground.
True.
But here we are. In 21st place, we have Superior on Suited. This is not your typical suited list. This is a Fire Xander suited. And it's running quite a few different aggro bits here. We see a lot of the classic... suited things. I say classic, even though the deck's like relatively new, right? We have quite a few. We have the 4 of Spades, the 3 of Spades, 4 of Hearts, 3 of Hearts, 2 of Hearts, Rouge, all the, they're all mostly here. But not everyone's here. Not everyone's here. A lot of the good ones are, but there's a few kind of more assassin-y things that are kind of making their way in there. 4 Arthurs, I think is not terribly surprising for a deck like this. But it's running 4 March Hares and 4 Dazzling Courtesans. So it's got a good Kindle engine going in here. You get quite a bit of value from that. It's running some Embercrypt Burns for some Graveyard Hate, which is really nice. And then you have 2 copies of Mortal Ambition.
Yeah, there's enough uniques to make it worth it. Right?
Yeah.
Between Arthur and Rouge and Noir and Duchess. And...
Red Hair's in here. The Queen is in here.
Do we have Veritas?
The Queen is also in here.
Yeah, we got them all.
Veritas is also in here. We've got a lot. And then we have 2 copies of Pepper Chef, which I think in this case is actually really interesting because that might be all you need to get a total of 10 into your graveyard to pull out Verita for free.
True.
That's pretty cool. So there's a lot of really fun pieces working together in this deck. It's sort of an evolution off the traditional suited. I think usually we're used to you want a critical mass of suited, so a lot of people just sort of jam every suited card in. This is sort of picking and choosing a little bit and sort of choosing to split the difference with some of the really more powerful, like sort of, I wouldn't say generic cards, but like strong role players in Fire Aggro.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool to see. So congrats to Superior. In 19th place, we have Bonnie Rian on Water Allies, specifically Water Unique Allies, Lorraine. And we don't normally see Water Allies quite like this. It's running Shangjiang, Sun Tzu, Gildas, Sadi. It's running Lunette, Nia, Snow White, Shahudun, and Joie.
Ooh, boy.
The horse. The horse is here. So, which I think this horse is going to constantly be having stealth and true sight with all the allies out here. So this is a lot of unique allies. These are all very powerful allies doing very good, high damaging things. And they're backed up by 3 copies of Rescue the Air, which notably with all these unique allies is probably going to be free.
Nice.
And that's a great way to save your stuff. And it's running Halocline Scouts as well, so that when you're in a unique ally swing, it's going to be big damage. Nia and Snow White together is a pretty scary combo.
Ooh, yeah.
I gotta say, like, your leveling up is really expensive, and on top of that, you might not even be able to level up at all.
Brutal.
It's pretty good. So,
interacting with people's ability to level up is pretty good.
If you're worried about them leveling up too fast, just say, don't level. What if they didn't? Not bad. So, congrats, Bonnie Rand. I love seeing this deck. It's really cool to see Water Uniques really finally take off. In 18th place, we have Leo Blade on Merlin. Classic Merlin? Classic-ish Merlin.
Classic-ish Merlin.
We got Looking Glass back.
This is what Merlin looks like now.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Merlin will look a little different later, but we'll talk about that when we get there. It's running the Looking Glass, running Fragmented Spirit of Fire, an Inert Sword as sort of the trade out for the Sword of Seeking, and then a lot of the classics. It's doing good old Ascension things, Ghosts, Incarnate Majesty. We have Fireballs, of course. Flame Wreath Call is a really interesting call here. 3 copies there to take care of aggressive boards. We have some Devastating Blows, which is like big damaging kind of. Just hit him for 10. Just clock him for 10.
Seems good.
It's great. And a Sudden Steal as well, just to back that up.
A lot of attacks.
Yeah. It's really sort of making use of a lot of that. Notably, Merlin makes very good use of Fluffy Shopkeep.
True.
Because anything that you banish, you're probably bringing back with Ascension or Incarnate anyway, so it's probably fine. And then 3 copies of Blanche, just because,
Yeah, might as well.
Spell damage.
Worried about fractals.
Worried about fractals, clearly. So congrats, Leo Blade. Very cool. And then at 15th place, we got to talk about Death at War on Oblation CL. With a lot of orbs.
Yeah, sure.
Many balls in this deck.
Great.
Yes.
I definitely needed to hear that description.
I probably
Thanks.
scrub that one. Scrub that part. This is using the Ryle package and the good old Baleful Oblation Advent of the Stormcaller combo, which is a lot of damage if you get it off to basically everything.
It's great. I love it.
It's fantastic. It's also running Orb of Hubris to sort of help you get to that combo a little bit faster. Orb of Sealing is kind of nice, which I think does do a little bit at slowing down the mirror if you're worried about it. Not quite sure on the details. I think somebody who plays the Oblation deck might know it a little bit better than me.
So Orb of Sealing is actually primarily to hit your own omens.
Oh!
This allows you to create omens that cost 3, that cost 6, without impacting how powerful your Oblation is.
Oh, true. I did not think about it. I should clearly play this deck more.
The deck is cool. Give it a shot.
Yeah, I think I will. This is an awesome deck. Clearly, I need to spend more time with it because, I'm always an Arcane fan. And this is probably the closest I'm going to get to playing Arcane this season.
It does technically have Arcane.
It does technically have Arcane. It's this or the Dragon, and honestly, this seems spicy. So.
I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah, so congrats, Death at War. That's a very, very cool deck that you brought. And there's a few more decks that we could talk about, but I think what we're going to do is save it all for the top 8, because that's where the real spice happens.
All right, so we've been talking about Horse and Taxes this whole time.
Yes.
What is Horse and Taxes?
Well, I think for that,
you might ask.
I think for that, we're going to need some input from a little someone we know called Dr. Eternal.
Hello, welcome to Deck Tech with Dr. Eternal. I am here to talk to you about horses and taxes.
Dr. Eternal, I watched your previous episode and I stumbled my Ryle deck, but I keep getting run over by horses. What do I do?
So I do want to preface this by saying that I am not an expert with the deck. I have not played the deck. This is primarily going off of the data I was able to dig up by watching the event. I did listen to all of the interviews with people running this deck, and they had some really good information.
Oh, yeah.
You can get a lot of information just kind of by looking at the deck list, so looking at the Fractal of Insight coverage for the event.
Yeah.
And I do know that there is a write-up coming down the pike.
Yes.
So as of this moment, it hasn't been published, but keep an eye out on Luxera's map for an article out of Chess Club talking about this deck.
Very excited to see that.
That said, what the deck does is really, really cool. So the idea of this deck is it is running some strong allies in horses. It's got Dilu and it's got Red Hair.
Yes.
Because it is running Spirit of Fire into Vanitas. So you have access to both fire and wind.
Yep.
And then it backs this up with Vanitas 3 using its taxation effect to really slow your opponent down and prevent them from engaging with whatever their game plan is. So any cards that would normally plus them instead keep them neutral. Level ups are even more expensive than usual, and it really punishes decks that don't engage with the board on the first few turns, which is every single deck running the Ryle package.
Every Ryle deck ever, basically.
And a lot of the choices that are made in this deck in terms of what to include are specifically based around the current meta. So Dilu, Red Hair, 3 power, because that's enough to get through a Fluffy Shopkeep. Brisk Windtrotter, the other horse, if you put those 2 counters on a Fluffy Shopkeep or on a Dungeon Guide or on a Liminal Guide, now you have a 3 attack ally, which is just enough to get through a Fluffy Shopkeep.
Yep.
And if you're really hard up for options, it has Bestial Visage out of the board that you can put onto your own Dungeon Guide in order to make a 3/3 with Pride 3, which is just big enough to get through a Fluffy Shopkeep. There's a trend here.
Yep.
So the typical play pattern for this deck is your opening Materialize is Vanitas 1. So turn 1, you kind of tend not to do too much. You want to do something neutral. So this is Creative Shock.
Yep.
This is Ryle.
Yep.
This is Fluffy Shopkeep.
Great place.
Right? Everybody loves Fluffy Shopkeep.
Everyone loves Fluffy Shopkeep.
But something to keep you at whatever your cards are. You don't want to go down here because the number of cards that you have in your first 2 turns is very, very critical.
Oh, yeah.
So you Ideally, get some floating memory. You go up to 1, you're still at 7. Even without that, you go up to 1, you're at 6 influence now. You draw your cards, you're at 7 influence. You play one of the cards that speeds up your level up. So either Dungeon Guide or Beseech the Winds. And you go to level 2.
Yep.
Now you have 1 card in your memory, 3 cards in hand.
Yeah.
You then play any 2-cost card, which is the majority of the deck.
Yeah.
But especially the horses.
Oh, yeah.
And now you have 3 cards in memory, 0 cards in hand. You can activate Vanitas 3, and you have 0 influence, but probably a 3-power ally and a 3-power Vanitas.
That is very tight.
Right? It is perfect, is what
Yeah.
it is. Like, I really, really, really like how cleanly this comes together.
Yeah.
Of course, it is running the Spectre package. It is running Ryle, so it's not too hard for the deck to be a little bit more positive than that.
Yeah.
You could use a floating memory and be at 1. You could have a floating memory and a liminal guide and be at 2 influence at this point. The majority of the deck is 2 costs, like I was saying. So the rest of your turns kind of look very similar to each other, because the first 2 turns very important in terms of getting this kind of exact thing lined up perfectly. And then once you're there, you hit them with Vanitas, and you use your allies to clear the way, and you are playing a card every turn, because cards cost 2.
Very nice.
So your first materialize after all this mess is probably GCR or a Bauble or something like that, in order to get to you to that crucial 3 influence marker. And then you can just play a card every turn.
Yeah. Not bad.
And you are doing this, like, a card every turn doesn't sound that bad, but when your opponent can't plus, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
And you are slowing down whatever their game plan otherwise would be, right? So if they're building up to a big flame sweep, if it costs them 3 more cards than they would expect to get to Lorraine 2, that's not going to work out as well, right? Now they have to not only get there, but they have to have enough influence to do the thing that they wanted to do when they get there.
Yeah.
And they can't plus off of backup charges. They can't plus off of GCR. So this puts them in a really dangerous situation of, like, everything they do is now a turn behind or more.
Yeah.
And that whole time you're hitting for 3, 6, maybe 9 a turn.
That's very strong.
So it's an aggressive deck. It's using its allies to keep control of the board to make sure that Vanitas can keep hitting and keep getting that taxation going. And generally knocking out your opponent before they can get their game plan online, because their game plan is so delayed.
You know, now that you mentioned this deck and explain it to me fully, it does feel like it's one that'd be up my alley. Which is a little terrifying to think about.
Yeah. So the deck is very cool. The deck is very focused on the current meta, right? Like, this deck is extremely a deck that is responding to the fact that so many decks are playing greedy. And also paying close attention to how decks are defending themselves.
Yeah.
Right? The expectation is most decks are going to be defending themselves with Fluffy Shopkeep. So almost every combination of plays in this deck can deal 3 damage.
Yeah. Which is really interesting.
The deck is very aware that people are going to be trying to plus off of Ryle, getting a lot of floating memory into their yard. Your materialization after Vanitas is almost always Censor.
Yeah.
Because at that point, your float doesn't matter, and their float matters a lot.
It makes a lot of sense. You've rapid fire it, so you could just put that thing out there and then just make it so they can't deal with it.
And then everything else in your deck is about being consistent in terms of a card every turn. And keeping that extra pressure on your opponent, so they have to respond to what you're doing if they don't want to die. And also, that's hard to do.
I love that. Fantastic. What a neat deck.
So
what a terrifying deck.
Yeah, terrifying deck.
Thank you, Dr. Eternal. I am now afraid for my life.
As well you should be.
And we're going to talk about all the people who use this deck to great success.
Yeah, so let's move into the top 8.
Yes. Top 8. In 8th place, well, first off, we have to talk about the man himself. One of the great veterans of this game in 8th place. Sky Sama. One of our local champions on Fire Goja, KFC. This is such a cool deck.
Such a cool deck.
I do like this deck quite a bit. Yeah, it's really, I still think it is fascinating to see the Ryle package used to great effect in an aggressive deck.
Yeah.
But man, you have a lot of the good classics here. There is a little bit of Spectre going on here too, I think, with Eventual Paramours.
Yep.
Nice burn spell here. If you watched our previous episode, I think you probably know all about this deck. So there's not much to really explain, but, you know, Pepper Chef is a very good card.
Yeah.
Fire Interference is a very, very good card with all the Serene running around, so that really, really lets it do damage there. And then just a lot of interesting choices here. Interestingly, seeing Goja 2 here is kind of neat. I feel like some decks, some go to 1.
Some go to 1, some go to 2. Some of these decks go to 3.
Yeah, he has 3 in the sideboard.
There you go. Yeah, I feel like 3 is very cool as a defensive option.
Yeah, I think
like sometimes you need just a little bit more health in order to punch through that extra damage.
Yeah, just a little bit, right? It's also, the restorative flames are there for the same reason, sort of. If you just need to sort of stabilize just enough so that you can actually get there, I think that's very important. In the sideboard, in addition to Goja 3, we're seeing a Nullifying Mirror because wind decks still exist and they will try to veil you to try to live. Staggering Strikes are also there for that same reason. Flame Wraith calls for the aggressive boards a little bit more Shatter the Brittle to deal with things that will shut you down. Nullifying Lantern, Sensors, whatever.
Yeah, they're still out there.
And 2 Underfires because sometimes taking 4 damage is better than taking a bajillion damage.
I hate taking a bajillion damage.
I generally do not recommend taking a bajillion damage. Unless you are sitting across from me and I am playing Water Diana. Please take a bajillion damage. It's for your health.
Probably.
Anyway, congratulations, Sky Saba. This is the second Ascent that he has top-aided, and I am very, very much excited to see
Avidly following your career.
Good job, Sky Saba. I'm proud of you. Anyway, in 7th place, we have Robotron on Fire Luxem Xander.
So the astute of you will have noticed these are 2 decks that are not Horse and Taxes.
They are not.
Don't get used to that.
We'll get there. This is the Spectre package, of course. We've got 16 Spectres.
Oh, he's running Evercurrent.
He's got Evercurrent. He's going all in, ladies and gentlemen.
That's kind of a standout. Most Luxem Xander lists don't include the 13th through 16th Spectre.
Yeah.
So this is neat.
He's also on 4 Thieving Cuts, which I think when we were starting to test this, our decks were kind of lower on Thieving Cuts. So really
this list is actually really different from the list that I tested.
Yeah, he's really valuing that ability to clear the board and also draw cards. I think that's honestly really smart considering how aggressive some of the decks in this meta are.
No Striking Illuminance.
No Striking Illuminance. The Striking Illuminance is nowhere to be seen.
Oh my god, no Excaliburs in the main either.
Yeah.
Wow. This deck is tuned very differently from what I've been seeing from most lists.
Yeah. It's very focused, honestly. It's got the package to level up to 3, and then it's just kind of got the classic Luxem stuff. It knows what it wants to do. It's got Resolutes and Thieving Cuts for control. It's got Scry the Skies to get a little extra value when it gets up there. Juggle Recycling. And then the classic Luxem Sight, Light Weavers, Gleaming Cuts, Uncover the Plots. Very lean Luxem package, honestly.
Yeah, so this is a little bit more focused on having those extra plays early on to kind of smooth out the draws a little bit in order to get it up to level 3.
Yeah.
And that's not what you've been seeing from Luxem Xander lately.
Yeah.
So I like this. It served him well, right?
Yeah.
7th place.
7th place is pretty good. Also got to shout out the 2 Heavenly guys on the board because people are going to be speeding.
Yeah, you will.
So you can definitely make use of that thing. Congrats, Robotron. It's really cool seeing his level 3 brews, honestly. He did the Astra Arasana at Toronto, which was kind of the first time we saw that deck really pop off. And so I'm always excited to be like, oh, what's going to cook next? Cool. Yeah. So in 6th place, and also in 5th place, and 4th place, and 3rd place, and 2nd place, we have a whole lot of horses.
Yeah, so this is most of the chess club members.
Yes.
I think one of them, Modest Mewtwo came in at 13th.
Yes.
So not in the top 8.
Yes.
But all of the other chess club members with Horse and Taxes made it to the top 8. This is how good this deck is into this meta. This is such a brilliant choice for the meta as it stands. 6 people entered this tournament with Horse and Taxes. The worst of them, the worst placement of those 6 decks was 13th, and 5 of them are in the top 8.
Yeah, which is really, really awesome. So I got to shout them out by name. We have Zero TB in 6th place. We have Noel in 5th place. We have Ver in 4th place. We have OKG Business in 3rd place. And we have Pickle Sword, I believe the creator of the deck, in 2nd place.
Widely touted as the father of this deck.
Yes. His deck builds are quite wild, as we have seen in previous tournaments. I will note that Zero TB's sideboard is a little bit different than most things. We have... let's see. We have a Viridian Trinket, a Wind Bauble, some Cinder Geysers, some Fiery Interferences, a Volda for unpreventable damage, a Dream Fairy, and a Stifling Trap.
So this is interesting because it includes some of the cards that are in the main for some of the other versions of this deck.
Yeah.
But makes a little bit of room for just kind of swapping out the numbers a little bit. Some of the board, some of the main, kind of tuning it a little bit different in terms of what he was expecting to face.
Yeah. So very, very interesting choices here. Let's talk about the list in general, just because I know we've given you the sort of the broad strokes, but in addition to the things that sort of Jim has talked about, we're seeing a few tech cards like Embercrypt Burn, which is a great way to, if any floating memory sort of evades your grasp, you can burn it out of their graveyard and chip them at the same time. So that's pretty good. Searing Rebuke, obviously very, very powerful. You are a cleric.
Yep.
You make use of this. This is a very good thing. In addition to using it for Impact Hammer, it's good to stave off death, which is really good. 3 Verucan Acolytes, because sometimes you got to blow up stuff. If people are trying to run hate pieces to shut you down, you say, no, my hate pieces are better.
Also, an important feature of Verucan Acolyte is from turn 2, you are level 3.
Yes.
You are always level 3.
This thing is a 3/1 very frequently, and it's quite effective. So, yeah, quite nice. Then the 3 Voltas.
Yeah.
Which is a nice little way to make sure your damage is unpreventable. Which is
I think Volta, like you said, is a bit of a tech card.
Yeah.
So not necessarily good in every matchup, but good in many matchups.
Yeah.
And there are a couple of sort of all-purpose cards that you can swap into. So if you look into the sideboard, there's also Cinder Geysers.
Yes.
And Dream Fairies.
Yeah.
That are sort of general purpose. Like if Volta doesn't do anything for you, one of these cards probably will.
I mean, Fire Interference is just a great tech card.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was enough Serene floating around that Fire Interference is kind of a must-have.
Yeah, so I will note 5th through 2nd place, the sideboard is pretty locked in at a Water Bauble, a Wind Bauble to complement the Fire Bauble in the main, 3 Cinder Geysers, 3 Fire Interferences, and 3 Dream Fairies. So very good utility cards to substitute if you don't need the Volta for some reason. So if you're not worried about a Wind deck, if you're not worried about Veiling Breeze or any weird prevention effects, you just go to town. Have a good time. So find the best one for your matchup. And what else is there to say about this deck?
I mean, I think the things that we want to call out here are just on a deck building level. This deck has a lot of 2s because of the play patterns that are so important to making sure that this deck keeps running.
Yeah. I mean, we definitely run the 2 Beseech the Winds, the 2 Stifling Traps for sure.
Yep.
The horses, like the core is definitely like solidly 4-0s, and there's just like, a few nice little utility things which are really nice there. So, yeah. Very, very spicy brew. I do wonder how it will last in the coming days. I think if water becomes a bit more popular, this deck could start to struggle.
Absolutely.
But we'll have to see if people are brave enough to.
Yeah, the thing about this deck is it's so perfectly positioned for the meta that I have to think that if the meta shifts, this deck has to shift with it.
It does.
Otherwise, it's not going to do nearly as well.
Yeah.
And if I had, Pickle Sword with us on this podcast to ask questions, the first question I would ask is, would you take this deck to another big event?
Yeah.
Would you take this deck to a regionals? Would you take this deck to Taipei? And I suspect the answer is no. Yeah. I suspect the answer is now that the sauce is out, now that people know what this deck can do, people are going to be teching against it. And this deck has certain situations that it's pretty fragile into.
Yeah.
The fact that there is no water in the meta is a big reason why this deck can do what it does.
Yeah.
Because if your Vanitas 3 is interacted with, and remember, Vanitas 3 activating out of the material deck is a activation.
So a Frostbind will shut that down.
Frostbind can stop it.
Yes.
And that's fatal.
That's a game ender right there.
You can't let that happen.
I'm just imagining if you put a Bullfrog in the way of everything where the entire deck is due to do 3 damage at a time, that's just a big hurdle.
Bullfrog is a huge deal.
Bullfrog is a big deal.
So I think water decks are really, really bad for this deck, and the fact that there's almost no water in the field is a big reason of why this deck can do what it did.
So, water players.
That's a very good question.
So big congratulations to all of the Horse and Taxes players.
Yeah, super good.
Very nice meta call. I'm curious to see where this deck will go in the future. But they didn't actually quite get there in the end.
No. So for all that Horse and Taxes did very, very well.
Very well, mind you, right? Not to negate anything that they did.
They were not the luckiest.
No, the luckiest.
So I did watch these matches. I think Bobby played super well.
Yeah.
But also, wow, was he lucky?
Yeah. I mean, you need skill and luck in equal droves. And the man who had it is, in first place, Bobby Tortilla on Fire and Soul Lorraine. And you know how I know this deck is a winner? It's running Erendite in the main.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, Erendite is a great list. When you run the Ryle package, you are discarding so much float into that yard, Erendite's going to be huge.
Love it.
It's going to be great. That's what I think.
Not that he played a whole lot of Ensol on stream.
Perhaps not.
He was... Man, this deck.
Yeah. So when we look at this deck, a lot of swords. First off. Clarence in the main. Not a lot of Ensol players necessarily playing Clarent, but I think the ones who did play Clarent did a bit better than the ones who did not.
So Clarent, I think, was really good utility. And this is another aspect of Bobby Tortilla not only getting lucky, but also playing really well, was valuing the ability of Clarent to defend himself.
Yeah.
Like leaving the last durability of Clarent on the board and popping other swords instead, just to make sure that he had that extra defensive out.
Yeah, I think that's huge. Very, very careful play. 2 incapacitates in the main. Definitely valuing the ability to shut off stuff and make sure that, he doesn't get countered.
Yeah, I really like that.
Doing Rending Flames at 3. Nice little sneaky way to finish things off, which I think is great. And
I mean, once you're level 3, a Rending Flames can do like 18, 20 damage, no problem.
Yeah. Cremation package. 3 cremations, not a full package. 15 specters? 15 specters. Good amount of specters.
Yeah, solid count.
Yeah. I mean, and two Crux Knights, just to, if you need to bring back your Ghost Sword and Soul. So, not much else I can really say about this. Oh, actually, a Spellword Scepter in the main. Or sorry, a Spellword Scepter in the board. Summon all spells, blanches, and Crystallized Destinies to protect against big forms of damage.
Yep.
An extra Resolute Stand. Some Fire Interferences to get rid of the Serene stuff. And 3 Regal Inquisitions.
Yeah. So this is really interesting. I feel like this board is mostly teched against Shadow Strike.
I think so, honestly. That's kind of what it feels like.
And, the Crystallized Destiny is maybe good against Oblation as well.
Yeah.
So kind of expecting some other, individual big hits.
Yeah.
Of course, he also ended up drawing all of the fluffy shopkeeps all of the time.
I mean, that's great.
That is, in fact,
that's a very, very effective way to stay alive and further your own game plan. So... I mean, that's just great. I mean, it seems like a solid deck, and it looks like he had both good play and good skill at drawing cards.
Yeah.
So,
no, so keep in mind that this is like the hero story.
Yeah.
That we were all that nobody was expecting, but
Yeah.
everybody loves to see.
Yes.
This is Bobby Tortilla's first day 2.
That is really exciting,
and
honestly.
he takes it all the way to the top.
Yeah. He also thwarts the Horse Menace that ravaged the field by storm.
Absolutely, right? Plucky little Lorraine against Vanitas the villain.
Yeah. That's so great.
Really, really cool results for Bobby. And for all that I am, lamenting how how lucky he got in some of these plays, he played super well.
Yeah.
Very, very smart and very deliberate.
Yeah.
So he did really well, and he absolutely deserves this number 1.
Congrats, Bobby. I look forward to seeing more of your hero moments throughout the rest of the season. So that is Boston. Heck of an event. In spite of what we thought was going to happen, it still took us by surprise. So that was really cool. Which brings us to the end phase, and boy, there was a keynote at the end of this.
There sure was a keynote. Oh my god.
Well, we already talked about part of it, but
the BNR was a big part of it.
Yeah.
But of course, the bigger part of it was the spoilers for PTM.
Guess who's back?
Back again.
Berlin's back.
Tell a friend. God. This is your fault. You've done this to me.
I have done this. I will continue to wear this influence. Anyway, so worth noting, we're only getting 1 Recollection deck this time for Phantom Monarchs, but it's a big one. It's Merlin. She's coming back as a Crux Assassin.
Which is wild.
Which is pretty crazy. They spoiled art for her level 1 and her level 3. Most notably did not spoil her level 2, which makes me suspect we are either getting a Memory Thief reprint or we're getting something far more heinous with an assassin code on it. And that's horrifying. Also, Merlin is wearing pants some of the time.
Sure.
That's pretty cool. She also has a top hat at level 3, which I have learned that I cannot resist women with fancy hats.
At least she's not wearing Lorraine.
You're right. She is not yet. So in addition to that, we got some lore implications. Alice, Rip Alice. I think people will go into the lore more than us, but
Yeah,
what it really means in terms of our focus is more cleric stuff and more assassin stuff. Presumably an Umbra cleric and a Crux assassin.
Yeah.
That's most likely what we're going to see. And I would expect some support for, the stuff that has been introduced in DTR.
Yeah.
Some chessmen maybe.
I would hope so.
I would love it.
I'm expecting there to be a lot of chess support.
Yeah.
I was expecting Alice to have her own Reco deck. So I'm a little surprised that we're just seeing Merlin here.
We got a twist. But, I looked at some of the product sheets, and it does seem like they're going a little bit further with some of what's included. So there are notably some crystal D10s that they're including in there, which makes me wonder what's that all about? Are those there for a reason?
Yeah, interesting. I wonder what mechanically uses D10s.
Are those for fun? Do you want to count your prep counters? Is there something else? What's going on with that? I don't know. Think about that. But I think it'll be exciting to see what they do with that space. I think I'm a little terrified to see Merlin running around. I presume she's going to be water too, which is going to be, oh boy.
That would make a lot of sense.
Yeah,
Merlin generally has been pretty water.
Yeah, I think Fracturize has kind of been now been associated as a Merlin card. So I would expect water to come back in full force. I am hopeful we'll get some good reprints here because I know that
we need them.
Yeah, we definitely need a Fracturize reprint. I'm hoping that shows up here if it doesn't show up in PTM. This is a little ambitious, but because they're only doing one Reco deck, I would think maybe they could go a little further with the reprints. Maybe we'll see a little Ghost of Pendragon in there. That's a very big ask, I realize.
We'll see Ghost of Pendragon.
Listen, if it happens though, you can thank me. For with a 0.1% chance you actually get that to happen.
Man, I suspect that they want to pull Crux in a direction away from Ghosts of Pendragon.
I think that would be good.
And I don't know how they do that without introducing set rotations.
Yeah, I kind of agree. You can't just power creep Ghost of Pendragon. That's a bad idea. But I feel like, maybe maybe do something in a different direction. Because I feel like, I think already with what was it, Mortal Ambition, and how they sort of said we want to stray away from level counters and static levels, that already Merlin's in a sort of precarious space in her previous incarnation. So I think if they're going to go in a direction with Merlin, it's going to be something very, very different than what we've had.
I'm not ready to predict what's going to happen in this Merlin deck.
I will not make any predictions aside from please give us a reprint of Ghost of Pendragon, just because I like to dream.
Sure.
So
it's allowed.
It's allowed.
There's
no
law against it.
I can feel ways about stuff. It's cool. But yeah, I'm excited for that. Granted, we still have many, many more months of DTR, and I'm excited to see where things go there.
Absolutely.
So until November rolls around and we get that sort of more design notes and debuts, I think I'm excited to keep experimenting. I'm also low-key hoping in Phantom Monarchs we get a little extra Umbra and Astro support for Ciel and Diana, because I think that'd be really cool. Not saying either of them need it, but it'd be nice.
Yeah.
Jim, what are you looking forward to in the future?
Horse and taxes!
Horse and taxes!
I don't actually know what I'm looking forward to.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of possibilities in Phantom Monarch.
Yeah.
And I don't know what of it will really speak to me.
True.
I know that just on a personal level, I am more of a combo player than anything else. You know, I saw the previews for DTR, and I was like, oh my god, I want to play Oblation in Advent. Yeah. Right? Immediately. That was the thing that came to mind. I saw the previews for HVN, and immediately I was like, oh, I want to burst asunder some idiots.
Yeah.
Right? So this is the kind of play that I'm looking forward to. And I don't know if Merlin is going to feed that. I don't know if what Merlin can do will feed that.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's just going to be some random wind card that shows up. I'm like, oh my, I have to do this thing. But we'll see. I think once we start seeing more of the spoilers, I will definitely have an idea as to what direction I want to go.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, hear me out. Chessman, combo deck.
I don't think Chessman commands. That requires playing allies.
Yes, but
that's not where I
mean, you got to get your chess pieces into the right position, right? And then you can just boom, take them out.
Implying that I am some kind of mastermind. I am not a mastermind.
No,
I just want to put 4 cards together into an infinite combo.
That's that's fair. That's like me, but with 15 cards.
Yeah, I don't
old Rye player.
I don't want to have tactics. All right, I don't want to have strategy. I want to have Rube Goldberg machines. That's what I want.
I respect that. That is what I strive for in my daily life, which probably explains why I'm overworked.
My sympathies.
Anyway. So, we're going to be busy with NorCal Regionals in the next
Absolutely.
couple weeks, but after that, I think we will see Ascent Taipei roll around, and then we'll be able to see how people have adapted, if Ryle is in fact the threat it has made itself out to be, or maybe some big new deck will come and totally knock the wind out of its sails.
Yeah.
That could be pretty cool to see.
could see.
A little terrifying, but we'll have to see how things evolve. So thank you for listening to this episode of the Corhazi Outlook.
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it.
We will be back with coverage on Ascent Taipei and probably regale you with some stories of regionals and how well or how much we scrubbed out, how many judge calls I missed.
Right?
But until then, take care.
Take care.